Good morning, Eric. It is November 25th. We're a couple days away from Thanksgiving. And here in Arizona, it is beautiful, sunny. My kid's outside playing. My hair's up in a knot. I'm chilling. What's up with you? How you doing,
Good.
Eric?
I'm good, man. It's raining in California. Weather's kind of shitty. It's cold, dark. Days are shorter.
I like it when the days are shorter.
I mean, it's still a beautiful day because any day you wake up is a beautiful day. But I kind of miss summer. I always feel more productive in summer.
I need to brighten myself a little bit in this camera. Bring it closer. Get my pretty mug. Get my pretty mug up here. Yeah.
It's debatable.
I mean, California's always so nice. You're so spoiled up there.
I mean, you got to put up with a lot of stuff in California to be in California. So I don't know if spoiled's the right word, but I hear you.
No, California, you're spoiled. If you can block out of your mind that you pay taxes to people like, Gavin Newsom, and that your political system's completely rigged. If you don't give a shit about that stuff, minimize how much you pay in taxes and do well there, go for it. I'm all for it, man. It's just too much of a rat race for me up there. People get lost. You're a lucky one too. Creature of your own making, though, right? You've learned.
Yeah, I hear you, and I agree.
But not everyone can do it. I couldn't do it. I tried. I even tried to be very nonchalant about it. But I was just let me be a bartender. I was like, just let me be a bartender. Seriously, that's fine. I'll do great. Just let me be a bartender. And they're like, no, there's no room for straight white bartenders right now. Sorry.
Yeah.
No teachers. I was like, I get it. You don't want me to be a teacher here. I was like, totally. I'm not. I can't be. I know I can't be. I'm not even gonna try. Not even gonna try. Well, I know that's a fucking dry well. And this was what 2012, 2013. I was like, I'm not even gonna be a burden. I had so many white buddies that had pink slips. Excuse me. Sinus infection.
Yeah.
I'm getting over it.
Yeah, I'm sorry you're not feeling 100%.
Oh, it's fine. Don't dwell on it in the slightest.
I don't even know how to begin with your issues you've had with a place like California, but really it's everywhere. So
yeah, no, I mean, I just, I'm such
you know what I mean? It's not just California, it's literally everywhere.
Well, and that's the problem I have. I'm an absolutist, and like the guns, the sex laws, the crime, the taxes, all of it. It just it drives me wild. In California, I can't do it. I can't. To me, there's no way for me to mitigate that system. I've tried. I can't. I want to have to participate in it. I can't step away from it. I get stuck in it every time. So I can't live there. Arizona, I was pretty good. For a few years there, it was nice. I got left alone. I got to teach. I got to run a construction company, and then
you got left alone to an extent.
Honestly, the problems I had when I first came there.
You got left alone to an extent, not completely.
No, yeah, but that's okay. When I got to Arizona, any hardship I had was me. It was me being an idiot. It wasn't Arizona being.
I mean, I won't argue with you.
So I just don't see it as a. If they would have left me alone, I would have never been the wiser. I would have just carried on. But
sure,
due to getting older. And I'm kind of just more abrasive as a human as I get older. The
Yeah, you
Overton
have.
window went one way and I went the other. The Overton window went one and I went the other one. Now I know it's the same thing as California here too. Like I just don't fit in anymore. But home is where your butt's warm, so it's okay. If I'm not wanted or needed, I'm cool with that. Like I actually kind of want to get left alone. So, and if I can just
But
minimize,
here's the tricky thing. Like, here's the tricky thing to that, though. Of course, you're needed. It's just people can't realize that.
and I'm not though. I'm not really needed. The
Right.
system contains
Like, people can
itself.
never get out of their own way.
The system is self-contained, man. I don't care. Like it doesn't need me, and that's fine. Where I am needed is at home, and I want to maximize
Well,
my. I want to max. Hang on, I want to maximize
in
my
the
useful.
respect that the system doesn't need anybody.
No, it needs it needs dumb people, and I don't mean to be crass, but it needs people who are willing to do dumb, inefficient jobs and not apply logic, not to question the system. Just do those belabored tasks for money that
Sure.
you're paid and just do them how you're told to do them. And shut up. That's what it needs. And that's just not me.
Sure.
And I don't want to have to distribute what little wealth I accrue with other people because I don't generate a lot and I don't want to. I don't want to have to be a part of that system. Russia, everything's just cheaper, more simple. It's easier to get away with that. Like it's kind of designed to be like that. Most people don't really, I don't think, take advantage of that over there. They don't see that. They want the consumerism, so they're like bitter about it. And I'm like, you guys aren't missing anything. Like you're missing this dream that America is. That maybe it was for 20 or 30 years. It really did exist. Maybe for a little bit longer. Maybe from the 40s through, after World War II. So maybe more like 50, 60 years is golden age of like you could just have it, like. But at some point that flipped, it turned into a different system. It's a different system. And Russia kind of never changed.
Because there's a lot of evil out there that takes advantage of that system.
Oh, whatever.
And nobody does anything about it.
That's never changed. It's always been that way. If you get 50 years of chill life, it's short in the grand scheme of things, So think on a larger time scale here.
Sure.
Think about all the war before our generation. Like this is something people don't think about. Like so, two of the largest wars have ever been fought. The most genocidal time in our history was in the last 100 years, last 125 years. So you have World War I and World War II, and then you have what happened shortly after World War II with communism hitting the East. You have guys like Mao. There's a bunch of movies, documentaries on this kind of stuff. The Khmer Rouge. She killed millions and millions of people, like 35, 40, 50 million people. No one really knows. World War I, I forget the number. It's like 20 million. World War II was like 30, 40 million. I'm talking about just like wiping 100 million people off the face of the earth in the matter of 125 years. Like people talk about the big H man being a good guy. I'm like, dude, first off, he didn't kill near as many of the kind of people you think he killed. He didn't really. I mean, he did. Don't get me wrong. He killed just lots of people. He killed a lot of, for lack of better words, people of color. Like he killed.
Yeah, but honestly, the United States has killed a shit ton of people too.
But wait. You know what he did? That tops all of that. He killed 8 million white Christian men. Fighting age men. He killed the stock of Europe. Yeah. He killed, he's terrible. Like, people say stuff about Stalin. I'm like, Stalin killed way more people of color. Like, if you were a fringe and you had, like, a different religion or something and you're a little extremist, like, dude, he just wiped you out. You just shut up. Like, you were a Russian or you were nothing. You were a Soviet or you were dead.
Wow.
That guy killed a ton of Christians too, because it was the Bolsheviks. They came in and they were like very anti-religion, and so
Yeah.
they damn near wiped out the Orthodox Church, which came back shortly after. But they've just had a resurgence over there in the last since Stalin's death, and like I always forget dates, like 76 or something like that. Maybe I got that date right. Good old, I want to put a picture of Stalin up. You're allowed to talk about him. I should do. I need to get my AI going again since I had to wipe my operating system. Ooh, I want to take that flag down. That flag, you can't see it, but there's a flag behind me in my camera. But it's an American flag, and it's my grandfather's World War II flag. So it has significance, but it's like right over my head, and it's like, I'm an American. I'm like, I'm kind of an American. Barely. Sometimes. Don't really care.
I mean, look, I don't see anything wrong with patriotism. I don't see anything wrong with people being proud of their country. Because at the end of the day, nothing is quite just evil or good or any. Nothing is wholly anything really. It's always a whole pie chart of different stuff, right? Like good, bad, terrible, whatever.
The Witcher, and I don't know if this is
so,
from the books. Go ahead. I think my internet just went down.
But yeah, I mean, shocker.
My internet just went down. I think I'm buffering. Can you hear me?
Of course it did. Yeah, I hear you fine. You sound great.
Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. You just weren't responding to me.
Yeah, I haven't had any. Well, then you couldn't hear me because I was talking the whole time. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Hello? Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
It's just lag. I figured it out. It's lag.
So just a latency issue, not a throughput issue?
Yeah, but my internet is sucking today.
It happens. Shit can happen.
Oh, there you go. My man. The ultimate Ruski.
What?
I got a picture of Stalin up.
Who's that?
Stalin? Okay. Stalin? Joseph Stalin?
I see it now.
The leader of Russia during World War II and up through the middle of the Cold War. My man, Stalin.
Right.
Yeah, dude, he's... He's
been depicted as a pretty fucking evil motherfucker.
I think he probably killed more people than Mao. But when people ask me about good and evil, and people want to talk about the line, like that gray line, like there is no better man to point to than Stalin.
I mean, isn't it just a matter of perspective sometimes when it becomes like when you're talking about good and bad?
Let's take something
like I'm sure for some people, I'll bet you there's people out there that think Stalin was a fucking angel. You know what I mean? Come down to save them.
I really don't think anybody would like come down and say he's an angel. So
like there's
you gotta take it from
maybe
more
not,
scientific.
but I'm just saying like
you gotta be more scientific. So if you're going to be more scientific, then like
I
I try to take some philosophical approach that I know that people accept, like Kant, like someone even say like Nietzsche, but um, I tend to be a moral objectivist. Like there is a moral right and wrong.
I mean, from a Christian value standpoint, or like, what's your basis for right now? Because you said so, or because you feel it, or is there some kind of basis?
It's a deep question, but I will put it this way: that
Because
I feel
right and wrong has to be the ideal of right and wrong. I feel has to be backed by something, and something more than because I said so.
no, I think it has more to do with some stuff that we can know a priori. Like when, as long as I'm old enough to remember, when I think about doing good and bad, I get a feeling, and that feeling tells me something about myself. And I can repeat this process over and over and over again.
Okay,
It's
let me
really
ask you a
it's really
question
it's
before
really
you.
knowable.
Let me ask you a question. I don't think so. Your thoughts lead you astray all the fucking time. You do harm to yourself, just like any human being, all the time because you thought or felt a certain way about a certain thing. And
Yeah, I
I
know
think that
this.
has to do like right
I,
and wrong like can get mixed in with that. It can get very muddied. Like you can't say because I feel this way. Like there could be somebody right next to you that feels the exact opposite of the way you do. And what makes you right and them wrong?
I
What do
can't.
you appeal to? There must be some
I
moral imperative that you appeal to.
I can't give you the answer to that one except to tell you that 1 + 1 = 2. And this is something I can know in my head. I can look at over and over and over again. It's something I can know a priori. I don't. All I need is self reflection to know this. It's a very tangible thing in the world to me. So when there's some basic emotions here, that deal with survival instincts. Like I know when I smoke a cigarette that I'm hurting myself. Like I know this very well. I know it's wrong. It's something that simple. It seemed like, and this feeling is repeatable. Like whether or not I'm stealing, doing drugs, it's like it's very repeatable. And when I do stuff that's right, I feel a certain way, and this is also very repeatable. It's very scientific to me. Like it's binary. It's borderline binary to me. That truth values, yes, they get more and more complex, but there is almost this binary code to come up
Maybe.
with the math behind it. And at the higher levels, it looks like humanism is like tends to be like the best path. A coexistence with the natural world, with us in it. Is tends to ultimately be this. Always edges out on that binary. There's nothing you can do about it. Like the math's just always there. Unless you show me some better math, like go ahead, But and I think that sometimes, like when, and this is where
Well, I
that.
mean, I
So this is where it gets gray, right? Like so when it gets gray, is like taking someone's life. Is it?
no,
It's
but
really
you
tough.
you
How do you do the math on that? Like it's almost unknowable in some cases. Like you just can't do the math. The math is too complex, so you can't really give that one. Your 1 + 1
I
because
think you're looking
it's
at
such
it
a
wrong. I don't think
why.
I think you're looking at it the wrong way. I don't think because I don't think you can quantify things that way. I think that's wrong.
I think the universe is quantifiable. I'm like a max tag mark on this one. I'm like I think that there's math out there that where it just gets too wild. Like we can't solve it with what we know. Like you'd almost have to be a 5-dimensional creature to be able to solve some of these mathematical mysteries that live in the 4D world. They just don't exist to us yet, and some of that is stuff like religion. You know, that there is this unknowable, and it seems like magic to us to know these things.
I don't think it is.
How could you calculate something like Stalin? How could someone come up here? We could write papers about this all day. We could write papers about Joseph Stalin till kingdom come. We could do this about like any historical figure, really. You know, like there's some you can't. Like if Jesus Christ was real, Martin Luther King. You know, there's a few of them. He's like Christ-like figures that mathematically, like there isn't really arguments against their existence of being better for mankind. It's like even all the bad shit that Gandhi did. Just the amount of peace that he taught people in the face of just extreme adversity. Like the goodness that he put on humans. Like, I don't think you can really say he was a negative guy. Come up with any stories about him. Like, he raped a couple women, supposedly. He still wins. Like, I think he still probably gets into heaven. Like, I'm sorry. If there is anything as such as heaven, like if he had a net positive. There's this...
maybe not.
Well, there's this story in the Bible, and also it's something I self-reflect on all the time. It's a good story. It's, I think his name's... I should know this stuff better as someone who leads Bible studies. But I think it's Simon Paul. He was this conqueror before. He was like this murderer. And Jesus finds him and changes his name. I think he changes his name to Paul, and I think his name was Simon before. It says, like, you know, absolute change. You have to have absolute change. You can't be that person anymore. And then there's this quote that's been going around that says that, do you know how much violence had to occur in order for me to become so gentle? So he's like, and if you reflect on those stories and those quotes, like you kind of, I get it. Like, I understand, you know, like it's, like I understand the moral impact of that. So it's hard to judge, is what I'm saying. There's like I don't think you could write any papers on either side that would ever prove yourself right over the other person. There's just moral quandaries that are so tough and airtight. Only time travelers with a lot of time on their hands analyzing different paths and universes could solve that mystery for us. They'd have to do a fifth dimension documentary about Stalin and going like, look at all these other different time frames I went through with and without Stalin. You know what I mean? Like, to be able to figure that out. So I don't think we can. Our AI isn't smart enough yet.
I see your point, but
anyways,
I see your point. I still think it's easier to just fall back on a moral, like religion, for example, is very easy for people to fall back on.
If you're going to fall back on something,
it has very clear messages on what's right and what's wrong.
That's Pascal. That's like philosophy 102. Pascal's wager. You know Pascal's wager?
No, I do not.
Pull it up on Wiki. So there's this guy, Pascal. He's a mathematician and a Christian. You know me, I always forget numbers. So I'm going to pull up Pascal's wager over here. Pascal puts it in 4 boxes. It's pretty simple thesis. Whether or not you believe or don't believe in God.
Theosis or thesis?
Thesis.
Okay.
And his thesis is simple. He just says that if you believe in, you have 2 options. You can believe in God or not believe in God. If you believe in God, here's your rewards. Nothing happens. If there's no God, doesn't matter if you believed in God at all. Who cares? And the worst thing you did was you followed a false set of morals that didn't matter in the end anyways. On the other hand, if you believe in God and God exists, then you get to profit everything. Like the entire afterlife, your soul gets to profit in such a fantastic way that the wealth or the utility, basically any philosophical and preference you want to use is undeniable. You're going to get a bunch, right? If you don't believe, here's your 2 options. is you don't believe, you die, nothing happens, who cares? It doesn't matter. The situation of God doesn't exist and there's no afterlife. Both those first options are out the window anyway, so it doesn't matter. So we're only looking at whether or not God exists anyways. So, and if you're an atheist, you might get lucky. You might get lucky, but you might also worship the wrong God. You might piss God off. So you have to be careful, even in your atheism, because the only matters is whether or not God exists. Because if you piss him off in this life and he does exist, the profit is endless. So there's just no reason not to believe in him. You might as well live your life like you believe in him, because it's the only way it's ever going to pay off for you afterwards. So it's dumb. There's no payoff. That's Pascal.
Okay.
Right? It's beautiful in its simplicity.
Yeah, I mean,
Math,
I see your point. I see his point.
So basically, this is the way it works,
it.
is that if you don't believe in God, it doesn't if it doesn't matter if he doesn't exist, because nothing happens. But if he does exist, the only way to profit is to spend some time on your soul in this life, or otherwise you're not moving forward, you're spinning gears. You can only move backward. Or hope to get lucky. It's like gambling.
Yeah.
It's like gambling.
Yeah.
But it's like the way, this is another way mathematicians look at it too. Pascal's been further elaborated on. This is philosophy 103. It's more like Pascal's like playing what's that table game that the ball bounces around in the black and red numbers on a wheel. Why can't I think of it? Roulette. So it's like roulette, only you've got black, red, and it doesn't matter if it lands on red. If it lands on red, you hit. And the only way to bet is then to always bet on red. Because black, nothing happens ever. So you should never bet on black. It makes no sense. So why would you even go into that bet ever thinking that the numbers were there?
Right.
Because the numbers don't do anything. So it's like betting on roulette with numbers when the numbers don't exist, just because they're written on the board. So I kind of like that analogy. Mathematically speaking, it's absolutely correct. It's beautiful in its simplicity.
Right.
So and that's like you can't ever give me, like, this is something I self-know. This is why I call it a priori. That as someone who does study math and has studied math my whole life, like, this is something I can self-reflect on with some like simple principles that like everyone should learn in mathematics and ethics at a very young age. And notice I didn't use the word Christianity either, and neither does Pascal. He doesn't say you have to be a Christian. He has to say you believe in God. He doesn't say you have to believe in Jesus Christ. He doesn't say that you have to follow some preordained set of rules. He's very much someone who's into a priori, something he can self-reflect on, and he can self-reflect on God. Much like Descartes. Like, so Descartes created calculus, and he's the one who says, I think, therefore I am. Like, I know I exist because I think about my own existence. And this is, I don't even remember the time frame. I actually think they're around the same time, or Pascal was like 100 years later. And Pascal said, oh yeah, well, if I know I exist, then I can think these things a priori, like 1 + 1, binary, and those kinds of things. Just some of these guys like underlined modern computing. And would go, yeah, I can also tell you God exists too. Sorry, homie. These things are things you cannot escape. We are the greatest mathematicians of all time. We're telling you that you exist and God exists, and 1 + 1 = 2. You can't get around those three things. And
I mean,
there's no, like, go, like, try, write a paper, prove it to somebody. Like, you can't. It's really tough, dude. Like, Terrence Howard's been trying this shit for the last, like, 10 years. And everyone laughs at him. It's because he's wrong. Do you know that Terrence Howard, what do you call that? Not conspiracy, but not affair. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
You don't know Terrence Howard? He was in a bunch of movies. The black dude.
No, I'm terrible with names, dude. I never remember. Names.
There's this black dude, Terrence Howard. He was in a bunch of movies, but then he kind of lost his shit and got blacklisted. And then he came back and he was on Joe Rogan. He was talking about math with Neil deGrasse Tyson, or not Neil deGrasse Tyson, one of those other mathematicians. His name's Eric Weinstein. Do you know who I'm talking here? Let me pull up a picture of him. This is an interesting one. This is like perfect for the podcast, actually.
If I see a picture, I might remember who he is. But...
No, well, I got you, homie. I'm working on this. Terrence Howard. Excuse me. You see this picture?
Yeah. Okay, I know who he is.
You know, this guy is. God, what was that movie that he was really known for? They might not even have it up here. Flow? I think it was Flow. Hustle and Flow. No, I mean, he was known for that one too. But this is a terrible image of him. Just gonna do a search. Images. Anyways, Terrence Howard. You guys know who this is?
I know who he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So apparently he got his bachelor's from like MIT or something like that. He's real brilliant. He has a bunch of patents and stuff. And he invented some weird stuff when he was a kid. Anyways, total in my mind, a total whatever they call that, like a CIA ritual abuse victim that was like turned into an actor or genius kind of person. He's kind of admitted as much. But anyways, so he was real famous there for a minute, like crazy famous. Then he like lost his stuff. Anyways, he came back trying to tell everyone that like 1 divided by 1 isn't that, or 1 plus 1 isn't that, and he like was debating a bunch of like famous scientists and was saying crazy stuff at graduation speeches at MIT, kind of just like crazy. And he's a real brilliant guy, and says a lot of good stuff, but he goes over the top with his hubris and like ruins himself, like shoves his own foot in his mouth. So
yeah,
but you know, like he just says too much stuff that people go, no, man. Like I like self-reflect on this stuff, and I know it. Like you can't tell me that. I don't know. But then he gets into the flower of life and meditation stuff, and he's totally right about all that stuff. It's like all the crazy stuff he talks about. It's like totally awesome. But when he goes and talks about this other stuff, like the real math, like he's just not. He's not that guy. But he talks about that with such fucking passion that it ruins the rest of it.
Yeah, that's too bad. And
like,
honestly, people will use that to discredit him about everything he's ever said, because
they will.
That's just the way humans are.
Dude, you can talk about
once they know for sure you're wrong about one thing, you're wrong about everything.
Here's the problem. Is maybe he's ahead of his time, but he needs to realize that he's ahead of his time, and then moderate himself if he's that smart, you know? Like, this is a problem I have.
That's what I counseled you to do. I counseled you the same fucking thing.
It's a problem I have. I'm admitting it openly. And you as my friend have helped me understand this. Totally. with where credit is due. So, that said, so I don't think he's really that genius. I just think he's kind of like onto a few things, you know, like you gotta have nuanced approaches to things. Man.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Right, and he's got a couple nuts, man. Like he's spot on.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, shit. You know, whatever. But
I really want
even a
AI.
blind squirrel can find a nut.
I want to be able to AI like while I'm working. And that's why I want a dual processing PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I want a dual.
So you want to host your own AI?
No, I just want to use internet ones. But I know how to use them on my computer, but they're very resource intensive.
So why would they be resource intensive? That doesn't make any sense. If they're an off-site AI, why would they be using
because it uses your bandwidth. To process, but it takes stuff off the internet. Like it'll go and search on the internet while it's doing it.
So then the AI is local.
It's both. Here, I wonder if I can look this up. Here, let me find it.
Because that doesn't, like, why would an AI use your own computing power? It doesn't make any sense. If it's all online, essentially all you're doing is asking a question. All you're doing is sending the information out, which is the question, and it comes back with a reply. That's no bandwidth. That's no processing power. So either it's on your PC or it's not. You know what I mean?
How does AI image processing work?
And if AIs do indeed infiltrate your PC in order to use your processing power, that's kind of scary. Talk about fucking Skynet, dude.
I'm reading right now, model training. I know how some of this stuff works, because like they do, like okay, so here I'll put this up here. You can...
In other words, I don't think a multi-processor, multi-core unit would
yes, it
improve
will.
your...
I'll explain in a moment. I'll explain in a moment. But
Okay.
so if you look at some of this stuff, there's like tagged neural networks and stuff, depending on how your processing is set up. Like I can do AI without being connected to the internet, that these things are trained on larger data sets.
Yeah.
Because I will, like, I'll be using like 10 gigabytes of training data. But there's also these like external weights that you can use. I want to know how that works. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read for this. Just talking about neural networks. I'm curious how it uses. God, if I had it going right now, I would show you. Anyways, now it does almost all the processing client side. It does it all. It does it all on my side. It turns on my video card, runs it hard, takes my CPU, runs it hard, spits out images. So it'll use as many cores as it possibly can.
And in that respect, then the AI is essentially infiltrating your PC to use your PC's resources.
I mean, sure, but just like anything else, you know, I mean, if you're playing a video game and it's linked to the internet and it's feeding you like location data,
yeah, but you're installing that software to do a process on your computer. I mean, there's also the alternative. You can stream a game where the game is not running on your PC. It's literally
that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
No, it works much more like a video game. No, it works much more like a video game where your computer is processing the.
I don't think so.
Hear me out. So, like when
I'm hearing you out.
No, when you play a video game, it sends you like location data. Like it sends you like where you are on the map. You know, like it has an instance that it's running, and it has a place that it puts you on that map, and it has like like a bullet or something, and it's got like data on that like says where it is, where it's going, and then your computer processes that, takes that information, goes because it has the executable on your end, and what it's executing is taking that data and then making a 3D image with it, and that's what takes all that processing power. Same thing we're doing here is it will access like training data on like it depends on the model that you're using, right? It could be using Google. It could be using Brave. It can be using OnlyFans if you're doing porn. Like it depends on what you want it to do, right? And then it sends that data back, but it already has it. Like it already has a lot of this information, right? So and it's kind of like telling it what information to use. So like you've got, and I'm telling you, the files that it's pulling from on your computer are enormous. Like I said, depends on what models you're using, but I would have like easy terabyte of different of models in there. Vase, I don't even know how you're supposed to say it. I've never like different ways to, what are they called? LoRa's. Yeah. the image data you have on your computer. It's got all that stuff.
Okay.
Anyways. So I think it's more like playing a video game. I mean, it is. It's just the way it runs. But I don't, like, I'm trying to find that. I could just ask AI. I'm, like, not comfortable doing that yet. I can do it on my phone. Or we can not talk about it because it's boring.
That too.
I am curious though. I don't have ChatGPT available to me. I'll just put it up to the camera. I do like how you can use poor grammar and bad spelling with AI and it still knows what you're talking about.
I mean, it should. It's pretty fucking simple.
Yeah, so it uses the internet for all of these. It looks at training data, collections of training data. It looks at real-time image searches. It looks at contextual accuracy. It does data validation. And there are some that use APIs, which are the integrated tools. But the stuff I use probably don't use a whole lot of that. Okay, I'm not using ChatGPT. I'm using image, so it looks at image and context data.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure it's different, like depending on what AI you're using. But if you talk to these AI, a lot of times what they'll tell you is they go like, this data is so secure that yes, our developers can access it, but it's like such a big, weighty thing. It's not real easy for people to breach it and take data from it and find individual conversations and such. Like that's not a real simple process. So like you don't have to worry about someone going in there and doing some stuff. Here's the thing is if you use shady AI, yes, you're absolutely right. If you're using Meta, you're fine. If you're using Gemini, if you're using ChatGPT, you're fine. If you're using Stable Diffusion, you're fine. But there are AI, like I've gone where you can go and download AIs. And like they come with like, we don't know if this thing's got a virus in it or not. Go run it, tell us. You know, like I'm like, no, I don't think so. I've talked to a couple dark AIs and such. And, you know, they have it come with warnings on these websites. Like, be careful with what you're installing.
Yeah, that's not okay.
So just don't install that stuff. Like, but if you want to use AI, use AI. It's fine. It's safe.
Yeah, I would agree that the mainstream ones are pretty safe, but I still think it's kind of creepy that it is using your own resources in order to run itself.
But everything does. That's the thing, is everything does. And there can be AI on the other side. Like, you don't know. Like, when you're playing a video game, you think Blizzard doesn't have an AI hooked up to your computer, trading data when you've given it full permission to look at whatever the hell it wants? Of course it is. Like, you're crazy. It's not going to legally steal shit from you that it knows it can get in trouble for. But if you don't think that it's going to pull every fucking redeemable dollar out of you that it possibly can, looking at everything it thinks it can get a hold of, yes, it will. Every time. LG, like my stove, I don't have it hooked up to my router, but people do this, and it just steals shit from it. Just steals data and sends it to LG all day. So if you're telling me that you don't think that this doesn't happen already, like, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, like my air conditioner came with like a little like smart hub thing, a little USB plug-in that I, of course, did not use.
Dude, I want to get like a fake dead end.
If I could like disconnect my fucking stove's Wi-Fi, I would.
So crazy, creepy to me.
Yeah, like I don't want my appliances connected to the internet. No. I don't see any benefit whatsoever.
Here's the thing: is that it can only, it's that Pascal's wager, man. This is like, see, some of these things are becoming like so obvious, like you just can't help it. So I mean, the freaking. I'm changing forms. My power level is changing. It makes me mad. Because they install hacker software in those things. They'll hack in your network, and they will steal every bit of marketing data from you that they possibly can and sell it. Yeah, fuck those people. No, it's disgusting.
Yeah, like, of course it is.
It drives me crazy. Like I can't handle it. It makes me want to buy old stuff. Like why do you want to spy on? Why does everybody want to spy on everything I do? Like, get the fuck away from me. Like, that's what I mean. Like, leave me the fuck alone.
Information is power. That's why.
Information's money.
And power.
There is information that's power. This information is not power. This information is a violation of rights. Like, it
is, but it's also power because you get enough of it on enough people, and now it means something.
I guarantee.
Individually, it's worthless, but
I guarantee
you get enough people's information, and now it becomes something.
Listen,
that's what I think.
People think that, like, if we meet aliens, that religion's going to, like, fall out the door. No, it's going to get far more complicated because we're going to find out telepathy is fucking real and that we can do it. And it's a violation of rights if you misuse it. And it can be taken as a hostile action. And so if you go in and try to, like, psychically fuck with somebody, they're allowed to kill you. And we're going to find that out when this is, like, part of the apocalypse. Like, no joke. That, like, they can't let us know that aliens exist because then we'll find out about their religion, and we'll find out that they're probably like Buddhists who think that telepathy is like this real powerful, intimate thing, and that if you misuse it, like, you're fucked. And humans that do it all the time. It's like me hanging out with Bigfoot over here. Like, Bigfoots are allowed to come on their shit because they don't misuse their telepathy. Has a Bigfoot ever tried to F with your mind?
Yeah.
Has a Bigfoot ever tried to F with your mind?
No, of course not.
No, yeah, that's how you know. People tell me I'm crazy. I'm like, I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy because a Bigfoot's never talked to me before. That's how I know. That's how I know I'm crazy. That's my religion. Where's that picture? I need to find this picture. It says, "What's your religion?" And it shows like dragons and spaceships and Bigfoot. It's like has his arm around me. I love this picture. I gotta find it. I know I got it. People go.
Oh, that's funny.
God damn it! I need to find that.
It's so true for many people.
Well, it's like a new thing. It's like a new thing, and I'm so on board with it. Like, it's like you don't know. Like, you don't know. Be nice to everything. That's one of my favorite new memes.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent.
That's a good one. Let me pull my mug down for a minute. Put up the pictures. Let's get rid of Pascal. His ugly face. It's funny. I think it's Leibniz, Newton. Do you know who Leibniz and Newton are? Do you know who Leibniz and Newton are?
Newton?
Yeah. Yes. Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, Sir Isaac Newton.
What about him?
Sir Isaac Newton gave us classical mechanics, and everyone thinks that they gave him calculus. Leibniz gave us calculus. We use Leibnizian calculus. We don't use Newtonian calculus. It doesn't work. But Newton always thought that he would go down in history for his religious writings. And Leibniz always thought that he would go down in history for his mathematical writings. And it was the opposite. Leibniz is known for his religious writings, and Newton, of course, is known for his math. It's quite interesting.
Right.
And Newton had F equals MA.
But how do we know that's what they thought they would go down in history for?
Yeah, I'm not a historian, but I'm sure I've
You're
watched
cutting out.
document. My internet's always cutting out. Just give it a sec.
Yeah, you're cutting out. Fucking Jesus.
Just give it a minute. Just chill.
This is why you don't pirate, people.
And we're back. Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about here. Your vibe tracks my tribe. I want to redo some of these pictures with AI. I want to stream doing some of that art too.
That's funny.
I think I can do a lot of that.
I feel like it could be much better, but it's still pretty good.
And I think I could do really good with AI.
Yeah, I think you could do better.
Like, I know how to do like individual parts of the page and set them up and work on it. I actually want to stream some of that stuff. I love this Pepe meme over here, the Come on Governor Bull. That's one of my favorites too. I'm not a big frog god guy. I'm not a big frog god guy, but I am a little bit of a, we manifest our thoughts, and the little bit of the chaos god I think is okay. He's childlike and jovial, and almost never mean-spirited. So it's like on Jesus' account, he's allowable. Don't worship false idols, but I'm not a big worshiper. So I don't worship much of anything.
Yeah.
No, I think that's like wrong. I think you should worship yourself.
Ergo, you were there.
I think you should worship yourself, but I think you should do it through like love and decency. And that's just
I can see issues with that potentially.
It's easy to self-reflect on.
I can just see issues with that though, but I see your point.
Oh, let's hear your issues. I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, but you can see the issues that may be inherent in something like that.
What's that?
Well, just the fact that people tend to lean a little too hard into themselves as self-absorbed, right? So I just see potential issues with that. Like, to worship yourself, people would instantly take that to mean that you're better than everybody else, or many other things, many other issues I can foresee.
Have you seen the movie American Psycho?
Yeah, but it's been so long.
Well,
what specifically are you referencing?
I feel like that movie is about being able to consume yourself with all your hedonistic desires. And it tells a story about how it's always doomed to failure.
How so?
It's always doomed to failure. Like, it's very easy to know that path is just always going to lead to your demise more than... Yes, it might lead to other people's demise, but it's also going to lead to yours. So self-indulgence is just like it tells a story of like self-indulgence is at the very least like
maybe
aesthetically pleasing and not a whole lot more. Which tells a greater story. Like if you want to get into the philosophy 102 and 103, I mean I could write a paper on it, but at surface level, it tells you that it leads to your demise and that modern aestheticism, like aesthetics, are at best gross, So take it for what you will. That's what the story says. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right. It doesn't necessarily mean the story is right, but that's what I take it to try to tell, and I find some truth in it.
Oh, okay.
And I can honestly tell you that like I've done a whole lot of like true crime stuff, and that's just pretty much always the case too. It's like these people essentially traded their lives, what they had of it, and what they removed from it from going to prison or getting themselves killed, for several hours at best of fleeting self-gratification. Like always, that's always the story. And so what you can do is perpetuate that and choose to do that with your life. Like that's just
one of the most selfish things I can possibly think of.
Yeah, and really when you take it to its fullest, like the kind of dark stuff that you start thinking about is like kind of like leads you back to the whole, like Hollywood and politics and why we're enslaved and shit like that. And quite don't understand that payoff. It's like, go ahead, do what you're going to fucking do. I believe in a soul anyway. So if you torture me in this life, I won't be held accountable anyways. Like if I choose to go to my best to not participate in it, I'm not going to be held accountable for that shit. So I don't care. But I don't see the payoff. Like I don't get it. Like when I slip into my most basic hedonistic desires, like I almost always feel gross and I don't like the way I feel. And it's not really worth the time and effort I put into trying to attain those things. It's like I do think that sometimes the pursuit to attain and create and stuff, that's great. I'm not trying to hate on that. But for whatever reason, those industries have kind of been taken over as of late by that hedonistic desire. So you have this intermingling, but don't, like I always say, have a nuanced approach. Yeah. I'm talking about the hedonistic desires, not creation. That corruption of it. So
Hollywood has even romanticized it. I mean, for fuck's sake.
I mean, yeah, to as of late, yes, you can point to evidence. Yes, that I would agree. I would agree that there's just blatant like Satanism and hedonism in their rituals and the way they show off. Yes, absolutely. What used to be kind of quieter tales underneath that were hidden are no longer. They're right in your face. Yes. In kids' movies
I think it's because that these disgusting people want their disgusting ways to be accepted.
Say hi to
how do you do that? By making it normal. Right?
I need to soundboard this stuff. Have you seen that video before?
What the fuck is that?
Say hi to Auntie Charlotte.
No. Not trying to
But
figure out what that even is.
it's a baby yakking. I'm telling you, it's gross. Like, those people are fucking gross. Or one of my other favorites.
Clearly.
Where is it? Where am I all? I need to like get this stuff organized. It's such a pain in the ass. This one.
I told you. Betty. Bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
I just watch that sometimes just because I love that Gary Oldman clip.
Yeah. That is a good
Yeah.
one.
So I mean,
Been clipped many times.
that's why I always go back to that. I just want to hang out with Bigfoot. I just want to like want. You know what? If someone could say, if you have one wish, what would it be? You know what my wish would be?
You want to hang out with Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. But I want to talk to him.
That.
I want him in between telepathy. That's it.
He's not going to teach you nothing.
Yeah, I would. If I ever got a Bigfoot alone, I would totally teach him. I would
So
totally make
you
him
are
teach
not
me.
ready for it, sir.
No, totally. I'd be fine with telepathy. I don't like people very much, and I don't think that like my opinions would change of them very
No.
much. It's like, so I thought a lot
handle
of,
it.
no, I've thought a lot about I've thought a lot about telepathy. I
I'm
don't think it would
teasing
change.
you.
No, hear me out. Hear me out. I thought a lot about
teasing you, bro. You know
telepathy.
that.
I've thought a lot about telepathy. I think that it's like not all it's cracked up to be. And I think that some of us are already telepaths and we don't even know it. We just think things. And we just chalk it up to our inner thoughts. And I think that we're actually just listening to people near us. And some of us are better at handling
Very
it than
possible.
others. And some of us are better at handling than others and interpreting those messages.
I mean, I guess, but can you call telepathy just observation?
No, because
I
other
feel like
people
you can
no,
intuit
because
a
other
lot of
people
what
could.
people are thinking just based on paying the fuck,
Well, here,
paying
how about
fucking attention.
this? Is that it's much more of what you're thinking is just the case. So that when we talk about telepathy, that you've heard me talk about like vibrational energies in people, even like being able to see their electromagnetic fields and whatnot. I think that's much more along the lines of what we're talking about when we're talking about telepathy. Is your brain's ability?
Yeah,
Hear me out. Is your
that
brain's
whole
ability to see?
vibrational garbage is stupid.
No,
but
it's not garbage. It's just the truth. It's mathematical truth, dude. Like it's a problem. Like we listen to music and we don't see those. Like the sound that's coming out of my mouth, we don't see it. We see it with our ears. Our brain sees a lot of stuff, and you got to stop. Like that's something that you're really overlooking. I don't want to be like downright confrontational with you about it. All in their own due time. And I think that there's a lot of crazies out there that talk about it that sometimes like are straight up misinformative, but it's the truth. It's the truth. People just don't get it, but it's the truth. It's there. It was well poisoning maybe, but just some people are just idiots, man.
maybe
Like
I won't discount anything 100%.
let me put it this way: is like when you get it from me, you get it from a very authentic source, and I want to explain why I am an authentic source on this matter. I have studied philosophy, mathematics, and science my entire life. Some of the craziest stuff, and I don't want to like talk about my intelligence, like I'm the smart guy and I've studied all this. It's just a fact. I studied this stuff. I can do these math problems. Like it's just and when I do the math. When it comes to EMF, RF, sound, brainwaves, down to listening to the vibration of atoms to some degree, or at least like that of cells and stuff. Like we can hear it. We can hear it. Like we can hear it, and the way we interpret that is just very like 4-dimensional in our brain in a different way that like we don't interpret visual and sound and taste. It's not quite as distinct. It's much more diffuse and subconscious, and most of us don't know how to read it. That's just straight up the truth. But these signals are like our bodies are like interacting with these fields all the time, and this shit's measurable and quantifiable. It's there. There's nothing. You just cannot deny this. So, and I mean, it interacts with our phones and displays a picture for us. You know what I'm saying? Like incredible amounts of data gets transferred over.
Yeah,
this. but it's getting transferred to you too.
Just because something is there doesn't mean we can interact with it.
No, we can. I'm telling you, the interaction is already measurable. There's like this belief system. That's not even true either. Like on very like quantifiable subconscious levels, we can see these interactions in our neurons. Like the neurons are so complex. They're insane. They're a life form in their own. Look like an alien life form in the way they behave. Like there's too much evidence. There's just too much. I'm telling you, you can't deny this. Like all of science is going to talk about consciousness as this emergent property. I'm talking to you from the creators of modern computers themselves, the creators of AI. Just absolutely every single best scientist, paid, unpaid, doesn't matter, all agrees on this. Like you just can't deny this. That field is there. Our body likes to interpret it, and it interprets it in a plethora of ways. Many of them are observable to our own self, like our eyes, our nose, our mouth, our tongue, the way we sense heat, the way our ears sense it. Like we have this ability we're incredible sensors, and we just deny like half of them, straight up. Like we just refuse to like think about our dreams or try to remember our dreams or like train ourselves to be good at dreams. We just don't do it. We just choose not to. But we totally can. I'm telling you, you totally can. I'm not telling you I have all the answers because I haven't trained myself well enough to be able to come back to you and go, we've talked about some of my dreams I've written down. I have more of them, you know, and they're real strong and powerful, you know, like they talk about magic and shit. So, and I'm telling you, when it comes from an authentic source, like I have studied the math. I've studied the philosophy. I've listened. I've done the equations. You know, like I've studied, and this is, you just can't get away from this. It's there, homie. Use it or lose it. Like seriously, it's that Pascalian wager. Use it or lose it. I will say this, that the biggest thing is fear, because once you start interacting with it, it's fucking powerful. Right, well. It can be scary. It can be a little scary to dip your toes in it. But it's there. Like I said, you don't have to interact with it. Like we need farmers, you know. Like I'm not telling you it's a moral imperative to do so. It's a realm you need not deal with if you don't want to. It's kind of like,
yeah, I gotcha.
It's kind of the way I feel. Like, you know, if you want to talk about like dimensionality and stuff, like I think that I think I've said this to you. I think we're like multi-dimensional beings. We're probably closer to like access of like in our current form. We're probably more like we can access like 6 or 7 dimensions, and our brains interpret it really fucking grossly in 3 and 4 dimensional terms. You know, if you think about like Egyptian pharaohs and stuff, like during this lifetime, like you're alive for this amount of time, and you can kind of like dip your toes into that world. But like these other lifetimes you can live while you're dipping your toes is so intense that like there's no reason not to. Yeah, come on in. Here, give me a second. I'm going to put us on break real quick. Alrighty?